Joining us now is the German ambassador to Israel, Dr. Suzanne Wasum-Rainer, and she's speaking to us from Herzliya, and Avner Halperin. He's the project leader for Zikaron BaSalon. And Avner, I'm going to start with you because I just gave a very sort of brief explanation. Why don't you explain the project in a little more detail, what it consists of, what it hopes to achieve?
The concept of Zikaron BaSalon, or memory in the living room, as you said, is really for everyone to take ownership of memory. So instead of going to a ceremony and just being a listener, the idea is that we sit in a living room with a Holocaust survivor or second or third generation, listen to his or her story, and then participate in a discussion with that person and with the group. And in doing that, we are part of the memory and we take it in, and we also discuss how we take that memory and from that take what is the impact to our own lives today and how we can make our society better. Now, obviously, today in the days of coronavirus and pandemic, when we can't meet face to face in the living room, we do that through Zoom and different communication possibilities, but the same concept still works. We get together as a small group, listen to a testimony, and then discuss it and think what does it mean for us? And that's how we take ownership of memory and make it relevant to our own lives. And over the last year, over 1.5 million people have been involved in Zikaron BaSalon, including 500,000 people internationally.
Right. Now, Madam Ambassador, I'm going to assume that on this occasion, each year you receive many invitations to take part in different events or memorials. Why specifically did you want to take part in this particular project?
So I really admire the work of Zikaron BaSalon. As you can imagine, the work of commemoration, if I may say so, is very important for us in Germany. And since I have arrived in Israel, my embassy and Zikaron BaSalon have cooperated in many different projects, and each of them have been very important for all participants. I feel it's a great honor to be partner of Zikaron BaSalon and to meet survivors in that particular environment. For instance, yesterday I was very touched by Sarah Goodman's willingness to share her experience, her difficult experiences with me and also with the wife of the German president. I mean, it's nothing that is obvious that it is being done, but Zikaron BaSalon offers the opportunity for that.
Right. Now, Avner, the ambassador has made clear what she got out of the experience and the benefit. What benefit do you think that the project itself or even the other participants benefit from having Germans, not Jews, or those like the ambassador, or as she said, the wife of the president, the current president of Germany, take part in these events?
So I think the real benefit here is that we make the memory of the Holocaust not just an Israeli issue and not just a Jewish issue, but truly a global topic that we all have to take responsibility of. And obviously, in having a joint discussion between Germans and Israelis around the memory of the Holocaust and what does it mean for us today is extremely, extremely valuable and something that we all found meaningful and took a lot from there onwards.
Right. Madam Ambassador, I'm sorry, Avner, was there something more you wanted to add?
I'll just mention that, this was a unique experience, but we are seeing, and maybe that's the silver coating of the current pandemic, that because we are able to communicate so well internationally, we're seeing multiple international possibilities. So over the last 2 days, for example, we also had a Zikaron BaSalon event with members from the United Arab Emirates, Morocco, and even someone from Syria. So you can imagine what is the value of such international discussions of this, the Holocaust experience with this diverse population and what it can mean for our joint path forwards from this day on.
Well, that does certainly sound interesting, the participation, as you said, of people from countries that even were not having relations with Israel until recently. But, Madam Ambassador, as I mentioned, the past year has certainly taken a disproportionate toll on the elderly Holocaust survivors, certainly in Israel. I have to imagine in Germany as well. I mean, how do you feel Germany is, and there's nothing that replaces that experience of hearing it firsthand. How is Germany going to, you think, keep alive the memory of the Holocaust, discuss its lessons in a future when there will not be these firsthand accounts of these survivors still with us?
Well, keeping the memory of the Shoah and keeping the memories of the crimes perpetrated by Germany, this is something we are convinced that we owe, of course, the victims of the Shoah, but we owe, above all, also ourselves and the present and future generations. We have to be aware of, and the future generations have to know. And the loss of those direct witnesses of the survivor, that forces us to think about other methods, how to continue with that commemoration in the future, and to also reach young generations. We need methods that are able to be convincing, authentic, facts-based, and above all, appealing to emotions. I mean, what survivors or the account, the telling of the stories of the survivors do. This is very, very difficult, and I think we have to use all possible instruments, all institutions of education and of science, schools, university. We have to protect the historic sites. We have to go there. We have to care for recorded witnesses, and we have to involve, I think, also the arts, because arts appeal to emotions, and only emotions make us really act. So I think also music and paintings and literature will have or has to play a role here.
Right. Avner, I want you to answer the same question from a specifically Israeli perspective. I mean, we're seeing figures that some 900 Holocaust survivors passed away this year due to the coronavirus.
Yes, so I think we see two key elements in maintaining the Holocaust memory from our perspective. One is, of course, is to bring on board, to tell the story, not just the survivors themselves, but also their sons, daughters, grandkids, and great-grandkids. We see it as a way to kind of hand over the legacy from generation to generation. In Hebrew, we say, "V'higadta lebincha." We tell the story from parent to son to grandson. And so this has been already done by Zikaron BaSalon, and this year and last year already a significant number of second and third generation are telling their family stories. And that's one key element. And the other is that we're obviously collecting a lot of recordings of survivors. And by the way, using some advanced technologies of holograms and AI, so we can actually keep the story of the survivor in digital format as well. And I think the combination of both allows us to maintain the story, as the ambassador said, not just in the facts, but also in the color and the emotion, so we can share it from generation to generation. And we see it as our responsibility to do that.
Madam Ambassador, if I can ask you a question on what I think is certainly a related topic here, and hear your thoughts and concerns about the sort of recent reported rise in anti-Semitism, including Holocaust denial in Germany, but of course not at all just in Germany. Some of it exacerbated by the coronavirus and the impact it's had and the economic impact, but also by other factors as well. How concerned are you about that?
I am extremely concerned. I mean, first of all, I'm deeply ashamed that the Shoah did not stop forever the existence of anti-Semitism in my country. But I'm also very concerned to see it, as you've said, everywhere else or in many other countries in the world. Everything possible has to be done to fight against all forms of anti-Semitism. And the German government, I can assure you, is completely decided to do so. Anti-Semitism is not just an opinion. It is not an opinion that is acceptable to be expressed, but it is a crime. And there's no low threshold that would have to be exceeded. Every expression of anti-Semitism has to be banned. I mean, this is for sure. I think in Germany we have undertaken tremendous efforts to fight against all forms of anti-Semitism. And also what you have mentioned, the distortion of the facts is not acceptable. Fighting distortion and denial was therefore also one of the priorities during our presidency of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. And also during the last 6 months, we had the presidency of the European Union. So Germany initiated an EU Council declaration on mainstreaming the fight against anti-Semitism across policy areas all over the European Union. I think one has to do really everything possible to ban it, not only in real life, but also in the virtual lives, the digital lives we are at the moment living in.
Avner, I want to ask you a practical question. Some of the viewers who may be watching it may be interested in setting up a session with Zikaron BaSalon. Who knows, maybe some of our viewers abroad, maybe some of those you mentioned in some of the new countries that Israel has relations on a practical level. How would they go about arranging that, even on a virtual basis?
Yeah, so absolutely. All the information is on our website, Zikaron BaSalon, as well as on our Facebook page. And there is multiple ways to do that. You can download a kit of how you set it up. But the important point is that each group that arranges Zikaron BaSalon gets guidance and a concept from us. But really it is for the host to take his or her responsibility to make that happen. And we empower people to have the Zikaron BaSalon in their homes or in their virtual homes via a Zoom. But at the end, it's an initiative that is of the people, by the people, for the people.
All right. Well, it is certainly a worthy endeavor, and I think it's one that I almost hate to say it has to be taken advantage of while there is still time for that to happen. Avner Halperin of Zikaron BaSalon and Ambassador Dr. Suzanne Wasum-Rainer, the German ambassador to Israel. Thank you for joining us so much on i24news.